What is the atmosphere like? How much resilience and optimism is there among women in executive roles right now?
Yeah, well, thanks for having us. It's really exciting to join from Chief X, our first ever conference for Chief here in Palm Springs. And the energy has just been really magical. So Chief is the most powerful network of senior executive women, and we really built Chief under the mission of changing the face of leadership. And we do that by building a great community that can come together and support each other and build the connections that are needed to really tackle the loneliness and challenges that can come with senior executive leadership. And it's been really exciting to have a new experience of Chief X, of being able to bring women from all over the US and UK here in Palm Springs to be able to really deepen those relationships and have even more inspirational conversations.
Give us the context, the backdrop, though, with which some of these executives find themselves. Because, look, we are seeing actually record participation rate of women in the labour force, but then there's nuance to it. And there's been studies, I think, just announced in the last day or so, McKinsey, Lean In, and Foundation, of course, Sheryl Sandberg's, looking at how perhaps women aren't managing to break into managerial roles. We're actually seeing more executive levels, C-suite, but not at the lower sort of funneling points. How are you talking about that?
Yeah, so I mean, Chief is focused on senior executive women. Over 40% of our membership are actually C-suite, and that's where you're actually starting to see some shifts. So we've moved from 25% to 28% of C-suite positions being held by women. But importantly, even within C-suite, women of color are only 6%, and we have not seen any changes in those numbers. And then, as I think you were pointing to, there's still very much this broken rung. So even as we're starting to see some progress in the C-suite, that advancement is going to be really challenged when we're still seeing a lack of progress in that middle management level. And that's where, even though you also see that ambition is so much greater, women are more interested in participating in the workplace. People have greater ambition of wanting to go up the corporate ladder. One of the things that is really highly pointed to is flexibility being such a key part of allowing for that ambition to become reality.
And what about in the
I think
tech
what
sector?
we're really facing right now is companies that are pulling people back into the workplace and removing some of that flexibility, and that's going to be a real challenge for us to continue to push these numbers.
Yeah, Carolyn, dwell in on that, because you're a leader in the tech sector. How much are you seeing a lack of flexibility or more in the sector than which we work?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you are seeing that a lot of companies are starting to pull back on those policies. And I think some of that has to do with both the economy in a way of somewhat reducing their workforce by saying, like, some people will opt out of that, and that will actually help them as they go through workplace reductions. But I think what that people aren't keeping in mind is that the people who need the flexibility the most are women and underrepresented minorities. Those are the people who have found the most benefit from the flexibility that has come into the workplace over the last several years. So all of these companies who have also had these commitments to DEI, that's really going to challenge them as they really pull back on the flexibility in the workplace.
Important message. And it's interesting how some of this focus on DEI moves with, well, the economic realities with which we face as well. I'm interested in your own realities because, I mean, Chief is a unicorn from last time we counted. And you were raising money March 2022. You raised 100 million. You were $1.1 billion valuation. Is that still standing? And how is your business growing?
Yeah, well, we are 20,000 members strong at Chief. It has been just phenomenal to see that growth over the last several years. But there's still 5 million women in the US alone who are VP level and above. So the opportunities for Chief to become an even more powerful community, a powerful network, to really be able to create the support and the change that is needed to change the face of leadership, there's still so much opportunity for us. And while I think there is this pressure across the ecosystem where companies are pulling back on their commitments to DEI and they are pulling back on their commitments to ESG, what is needed more than ever are good leaders, regardless of gender, regardless of race. And there's still an investment that needs to be had there. And there's still a place for chief to play that role.
Yeah.
While also really continuing to push companies who, they made the commitments when it was easy. And how do you make sure that people are really still holding to those statements and the importance and the benefits that we all have grown to recognize exist for companies who have great diversity in their workforce?